What's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Brush Mode, just in case you did not know. So we're going over the San Francisco 49ers. Will they still reign over the division? We're going to take a look at the season preview, which means we're going to go look at the roster, see strengths, weaknesses. We're going to take a look at the schedule, as well as give you my projected starters, as well as a prediction on how they're going to fare this year. But go ahead, do the YouTube thing, become bro, and subscribe. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. I know you want to. Share it if you like. It's all much appreciated, much obliged. And yeah, man, San Fran, can they make that Super Bowl run once again? Well, let's go ahead. Let's take a gander. Let's take a look at the roster. Jimmy G back there at quarterback. I don't think there's much to say there. He fared actually pretty well, and he returns much better offensive line, at least with the addition of Trent Williams. It's phenomenal there. And then you also got McGlinchey still there on the other tackle spot. So the tackle's looking just. Then you got Tomlinson, who actually played very well last year. So I think he's got that spot secured. The two positions, the center and right guard, that fascinate me the most because they got Richburg here as their projected starter. I disagree. Ben Garland, I think numbers wise, he outplayed Richburg. I mean, he only allowed allowed 6 pressures. He had 1 penalty on a little over 400 snaps, opposed to Richburg's 850, where he allowed 14 pressures, committed 4 penalties. But where Richburg really struggled was the run game. Where Garland really was good was the run game, which, let's talk about, what are the 49ers plan to do? They run the ball down people's throat, and then they exploit playmakers they have on the outside, which we'll get to in a minute. But they like to run the ball down people's throat. Garland was much better at that, so I would put him there. And then Tom Compton was a guy that they added, I think midseason last year. He's a backup in my opinion. He's fared better as a backup when asked to start. Or at least when stat I saw this off PFF. Whenever he was given the opportunity, which 4 times in his career where he had 300 or more snaps, he's graded out terribly. Horribly. He was bad. So I think it's better to keep him in a rotation role. A guy that actually stepped in last year and played particularly well was Daniel Brunskill. He played a plethora of positions there wherever the Niners needed him. I think moving him to right guard full time would be ideal. Like I said, he played particularly well, and I think actually a bulk of his snaps came there at right tackle, but the guy was a phenomenal pass protector. And I think moving him to the inside is really advantageous. I think it's a good idea. Stick to words I can pronounce. But I think it's a good idea. I think he would excel there, but they look really good on the offensive line. Talking about those playmakers, of course, you got George Kittle, probably the best tight end in football. And then Deebo Samuel, who they just exploited the heck out of last year. He did whatever for him. Oh, what? Wide receiver reverse? Got it. You could hand the ball to me. You could even throw it up and I'll grab it. Granted, he had a few contested drops last year, but he's a rookie, benefit of the doubt. Brandon Ayuk comes in there, and he was a guy I was banging the table for. Should be in the first round. He ended up going to the first round. He's a guy that can make plays after the catch. He is a very scary vertical threat as well. I think those two are that's just scary on the outside. Keep in mind, you got Kendrick Bourne, who actually did very well in his own right. And a guy that I loved too, a guy that I knew he was, Juwan Jennings. Let's just talk about him. I knew he was going to go late. I knew, just because that was a 4.72 40. I knew that was like, well, that's the end of his stock. I had him as a 3rd rounder, and I was like, oh man, he ain't going till late. And he ended up going late. But at Tennessee, the guy was a phenomenal after the catch. He's a guy that I think ideally comes in, lines up in the slot for them. Just stellar. You got Jalen Hurd still there. A guy that they kind of messed around with at tight end as well. Dante Pettis, I mean, who knows with him. Trent Taylor, they got a lot of guys there that, that have come in, not really worked out well, but they still got some good talent in their own right. Like, I think Trent Taylor, he still provides a lot of. I still think he could come in and play the slot effectively. They need him to. I don't think they will, though. So, looking at the running back situation, running back is huge on this team. I mean, I don't have to tell you that they bring back Raheem Mostert, who was phenomenal last year. Phenomenal. Tevin Coleman, he was pretty good in his own right. He saw actually more snaps than Mostert. I think Mostert was more effective than Coleman. Then Jeffrey Wilson's good depth. I don't think was it McKinnon? I don't think he's going to be on the roster by the end or by the beginning of the season. Maybe he might very well, but he's just a big cap hit. I like that they added JaMycal Hasty. He's another guy, very compact, hard to bring down, very involved there in the pass game at Baylor. He's a guy that I like there on the roster. And then, of course, Kyle Juszczyk, the guy, he only outsnapped all the running backs last season. He's used in a plethora of ways. He's going to see the field a lot. He might as well be a starter. So very, very, very good looking offense with a lot of potential. We saw that this offense, if it needs to just fire off, it can. You saw that against New Orleans. Saw that kind of in the first half of the the Super Bowl. So, but the bread and butter of this team is the defense. The defense reigns supreme. Start with the defensive line. It's probably the strength of the team. Even though DeForest Buckner is not there, it's still very deep. They still got a lot of good playmakers there. Or Eric Armstead, a guy that could play on the interior, could play on the outside. I mean, he's probably more of a 3-tech in that regard, but he played a lot on the outside last season, which is why we saw D Ford with even in games where he was a little banged up. He didn't have a high snap count last season, but he was still used very effectively. Nick Bosa, he's gonna be there. And then you got on the interior, because I think those are the only. Well, okay, Ronald Blair's still there too, so they got 4 guys that can bring pressure effectively from the outside. And then again, Armstead, he could play on the inside. And then Solomon Thomas is a guy that I think you're only going to see on passing downs. That's actually where he's the most effective is as a pass rusher, is on the interior. He gets demolished in the run game though on the interior. So he's another guy that's pretty versatile. He's actually a pretty good run defender on the outside. So he's a good rotation guy. DJ Jones is a guy that actually plays zero tech, plays it very well, but it's going to be Kinlaw. Kinlaw is our first round pick. Kinlaw has a wealth of talent. That is a freaking scary defensive line if I've ever seen one. I like the addition of Darian Daniels. He's another very athletic guy for like a 320. They brought in Willie Henry as well. I don't know if he makes a roster, but another guy that's very, very talented. Julian Taylor, I believe, saw a little time last year and was pretty effective. So I think he only saw like a little over 100 snaps though, but he was very effective in those snaps. And then the linebacker core, they got decisions to make when it comes to sub package, because Dre Greenlaw was very good. Quan Alexander, he's been known to be very, like, everyone loves his athleticism, but the guy is kind of like, he's very hot, he's very cold when it comes to coverage. Dre Greenlaw was one of the better rookie linebackers last year, so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do with that. Fred Warner's, I think, he's the guy that's gonna see the most snaps out of that 3, and then the secondary, very good, very good. It's great. Richard Sherman, I thought, was the best corner in football last season. He had the lowest allowed yards of any corner. And then you got Kwan Williams, who was phenomenal in the slot. Where there's going to be a battle there is with who basically starts on the outside opposite of Sherman. You got Witherspoon, who I thought he started the season very well, got hurt, but came back, didn't really play particularly well. I thought he was outplayed by Emmanuel Mosley. You could also make a case for Jason Verrett, but he's always hurt, so I think you could probably take his name out of the conversation. At the end, I think Emmanuel Mosley showed the most last season and should be the number 2 corner. Then at safety, Tart Ward, they were a very, very effective duo there at safety, so I expect them to be solid. There might be a little regression there just because given Jimmy Ward, his career's kind of been up and down, but that's because they were trying to figure out what position he best fills. But he had a really good year last year, so it's only safe to expect it's not going to be as good. So defense looks phenomenal. Let's just go ahead. Let's look at the schedule, and it's outside of their division games. It's a pretty easy schedule in my opinion. They got to face off with the AFC East, which we know there's a bunch of snowflake teams there. I mean, Miami, don't get me wrong, I'm a Miami fan. I'm very excited about the direction they're heading. They ain't there yet. The Jets, I don't know. It's hard to be excited about the Jets. I mean, they made a lot of moves. I just don't think it's been enough. Who knows what Jarrett Stidham's going to look like for the Patriots? So that might be another cupcake team. The Bills probably provide. They will probably provide the biggest challenge, the biggest hurdle, and then they have the NFC East, which Washington and the Giants. You could say those might be gimme games. Dallas, the Eagles, those are definitely the tougher games of that division they have to face. But they do have to face the Saints, I know is one. Saints and the Packers. Those are pretty tough those are just pretty tough games in their own right. But keep in mind it is going to be on a short week there with Green Bay, and I can't remember what Green Bay's bye is. Green Bay, just a little further investigation. Then I might adjust the record. Oh shucks, there we go. Mistyping. All right, so this is like the worst way to look at it. Take me there. Okay, why? I was about to say, why are they trying to show me videos? So their bye week comes in week 5. So yeah, not even close. So both teams working on a short week, but they have to go to San Fran. So plays better for San Fran. In conference, I'm not too scared about the Rams. I mean, how can you be? Cardinals, they are improved, but I don't think they're ready to step to the Niners yet. And the Seahawks always put up a fight. Doesn't matter what their roster looks like. That's probably realistically the biggest competition at this point for the Niners. Let's go ahead. Let's just look at the starters, and then I'll give you a good old prediction. And Jimmy G, of course, is the quarterback. I put Raheem Mostert. He outsnapped Coleman last year, and he was better than Coleman last year. So I put him as a starter. Of course, you got Kyle Juszczyk there at fullback. I'm including fullback because the dude saw more snaps than any running back on the team. And then Deebo Samuel. You got Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, amazing. Can I say? And then a very good looking offensive line with Williams, Tomlinson, McGlinchey. I say Garland deserves to start over Richburg. And then I got Brunskill there because he showed a lot last year. On defense, I got D Ford because I think Eric Armstead's going to see a lot more. You're gonna have a more healthy Ford on top of. I think they need more help on the interior. Yeah, they got Solomon Thomas there, but he's kind of at the end of his rope there for the Niners. Javon Kinlaw will be the zero tech. DJ Jones fills more of that role as a rotation player. So I don't think there's they don't have a lot there at 3 tech because Sheldon Day is gone as well. So he's going to be there on the interior. Kinlaw, phenomenal. I comped this guy to he has Fletcher Cox potential. Nick Bosa. Then I got Quan Alexander as a star because they're paying him a lot of money, but I do expect Greenlaw to get his. Fred Warner, and then for the secondary, I kind of already went into why I think Mosley's going to start there at corner number 2, but you got Sherman, Williams, Ward, and Tart. Let's go with a prediction. I think the Niners this season will be good. There you go. There's your prediction. I think they're going 11-5, and that's even going 3-3 in the division because division teams play each other fairly well. So honestly, I think 11-5 is a pretty safe bet. This team should. I don't want to jinx anything, but they should win over 10 games. They'll make a run. I think they definitely can make another run. The Super Bowl, there are teams in the conference that look much better. I'm talking about the Cowboys. I'm talking about the Buccaneers, even the Cardinals, the Saints. So there is plenty of competition there, but they are, I think, definitely maybe the second or even first team there in the NFC. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. And that is it for the video. Go ahead, do that YouTube thing. And until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.